A new reality witnessed in real time.
Amazon rainforest. Scientists warn at a record pace, and this could be dire, they say.
3 weeks of raging fires setting off alarm bells around the world.
With the Amazon fires posing a devastating threat to the region and the world.
Tonight, the Amazon rainforest, often called the planet's lungs, is struggling to breathe.
The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of planet Earth, now filled with smoke and fire and choking one of the world's most diverse ecosystems.
Now, it's thought an area about the size of a soccer pitch is lost every minute of every day to deforestation in the Amazon. Record fires causing massive devastation. Nearly 73,000 detected by researchers so far this year, an 83% increase from 2018. The fires visible even from space. Those white patches, not clouds, but smoke.
A cold weather system helped by changing winds, pushing smoke into cities more than 1,000 miles away.
Fires engulfing large swaths of the Amazon rainforest. The smoke is traveling far and wide. It darkened the skies over Sao Paulo, which is more than 2,000 kilometers south of the burn area. The scope of the fires is massive.
The fires in the Amazon rainforest so huge they're even visible from space. Strong winds pushing the smoke hundreds of miles, plunging the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo into darkness.
Images emerged on Monday of Sao Paulo in the afternoon, blackened by smoke. One Twitter user likened the images to Batman's grim-looking metropolis, Gotham City.
It's safe to say that if we lose the Amazon, we face ecological collapse.
One of the world's most important natural treasures in flames. Over 9,500 fires have broken out since last week, threatening the most biologically diverse place on Earth and the long-term health of our planet. An area about half the size of the US, these forests produce 20% of the world's oxygen.
The smoke has covered most of the northern half of Brazil, which is larger than the whole of Europe.
The Russian government is preparing to mobilize the military. President Vladimir Putin took the decision to call in the army on Wednesday as fires spread across 3 million hectares of Siberia.
Fires in the Amazon are a natural occurrence, often started by lightning strikes. But that doesn't explain the sudden increase in fires this year, which environmentalists say has been exacerbated by cattle ranchers and soy farmers clearing forest at an increased pace.
This year is worse than ever because Brazil's new president has allowed deforestation to accelerate.
When these fires finally do go away, environmentalists say that damage will have been done.
Here it is really, much of it is permanently wasted, in a sense that it takes ages to regrow a forest and it can never be regrown in the original way.
The Amazon is the planet's biggest tropical forest, nicknamed the lungs of the Earth.
But these fires are a reminder that the Amazon is losing trees at an unsustainable rate.
A vital natural wonder going up in smoke.
On to other news now. A large wildfire has broken out in Turkey's Marmara Islands. The blaze has been active since Monday and has so far destroyed at least 5 houses in the vicinity. As you can see on your screens, the fire was huge and threw up big clouds of smoke into the air. The fire is believed to have started from Berbagai forest, but the cause remains unknown.
We begin this program in Russia, where firefighters, backed by the country's Air Force, are struggling to contain vast wildfires in Siberia.
And how unusual is it for this to be happening in Siberia, of all places?
Right. So fires in Siberia are fairly normal, but this is an unprecedented fire in terms of its size.
It may happen every year, but the scale and intensity of these fires has never been seen before, and scientists say they are burning much farther north than normal. And it's not only Russia. This is Alaska, where firefighters have been struggling to contain the spread.
The fires are engulfing more than 3.1 million hectares of land, an area roughly the size of Belgium. Environmentalists are calling it an ecological catastrophe.
Thick columns of smoke that can be seen from space have been drifting across remote regions of Siberia for weeks, pouring millions of tons of extra carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
In Alaska, 400 wildfires so far this year, with new ones igniting every day. Why? Well, one of the reasons is temperatures. The average June temperature in parts of Siberia, where the worst of the wildfires are ranging, was almost 10 degrees Celsius higher in June than the 1981 to 2000 long-term average.
And plus, there's the trees. Huge areas of trees are simply dying or simply burning down. The taiga is one of the green lungs of the world, and scientists say that these trees could take around 100 years to grow back. So it's understandable that Greenpeace is calling this an ecological catastrophe.
Wildfire season appears to be off to a slow start, and that's a welcome change after the two most deadly and destructive wildfire seasons on record.
An island paradise in flames. Fires on the island of Evia started Tuesday at about 3 a.m. and were spread by strong winds through dry vegetation, according to local media.
The fire tore through the forest, destroying everything. Residents on Evia Island stunned and helpless as they watched emergency services struggle to contain the blaze.
As the wildfires rage, all local residents can do is watch as the flames creep closer to their homes.
56 fires broke out across the country within 2 days, a scene many say is all too familiar.
What can I say? The whole village is on fire. All our worldly possessions are going up in smoke. It's horrible.
One of the biggest deployments of firefighters in recent Spanish history is underway. Shock and disbelief in Gran, Canaria. These villagers were forced out of their homes as large wildfires burn out of control across the Spanish island. They started spreading across mountainous areas on Saturday as high temperatures, strong winds and low humidity fuel the flames. This headline reads, "The Unstoppable Catastrophe." Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands is popular with tourists. Millions visit every year to enjoy its mountains and beaches, and while the Spanish government has assured them the wildfires are only confined to higher grounds, environmentalists are concerned that Spain could lose some of its most important nature reserves.
Kind of hazy over Seattle today, but sunny. Fires burning in eastern and central Washington are to blame, but a massive fire all the way over in Russia is adding to our hazy skies.
I'm not going to be able to stay here long because this fire is spreading. But
conservationist Paul Rosalie was at this fire on the Brazil-Peru border last month.
There are literally millions of animals in this forest that cannot escape right now.
How many animals were you able to rescue?
None. They were all burned.
His video and the hashtag Pray for Amazonia shared on social media today, but more needs to be done.
This should be the wake-up call that pulls us back from the edge.
In the northern hemisphere, parts of Siberia and Alaska are burning too, just weeks after a blistering July, the hottest month on record.
This is just one of several thousand fires currently consuming swaths of the Brazilian Amazon, and the world is watching.
The World Wildlife Fund says that almost 20% of the Amazon forest has disappeared in the last half-century, and this is only accelerating.
Now, the raging fires covered Sao Paulo, which is home to more than 12 million people, under a blanket of smoke so thick it blocked out the sun. We see video here of how Brazil's biggest city was plunged into darkness in the middle of the day. And there were also reports of black rain in Sao Paulo. A Twitter user posted a photo here of what she says is a glass of rainwater.
The hashtag Pray for Amazonas has been trending on Twitter, and other world leaders have reacted as well. Our house is burning, literally.
Calling the wildfires, quote, an international crisis.
Right now, the Amazon rainforest is being consumed by fire. In fact, there's an 80% increase in fires just over the last year alone. And this comes, of course, after the hottest July our planet has ever seen. I want you to take a look at these pictures showing the smoke from space. These are images from high above covering huge parts of South America. Now, this isn't an act of God. It's farmers and ranchers intentionally destroying the land for more development. The Amazon basin is, of course, known as the lungs of the world. It provides 20% of the oxygen for the entire planet. But Brazil's new right-wing leader, Jair Bolsonaro, is not bothered by the destruction. In fact, he's mocking environmentalists who warn of the long-term damage that will make the climate crisis even worse. So Shasta Darlington joins us now from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Shasta, great to see you. Really good to have you from Brazil. I mean, Sao Paulo is also feeling the effects, the choking effects of these raging wildfires. Just give us some sense of how this is playing out where you are.
Oh, that's right, Robin. I mean, first of all, you do get the real back and forth, this very heated rhetoric about who's to blame. But the fact is that these fires are ravaging the Amazon, and yet the effects are actually being felt very far from home.
Brazil's largest city plunged into darkness. Black clouds filling the sky, blanketing Sao Paulo Monday afternoon, thick smoke billowing from more than 2,700 kilometers away, where fires are consuming the world's largest rainforest. The Amazon basin is burning at a record rate, according to Brazil's research center. More than 72,000 fires have scorched the country this year, an over 80% increase compared to the same period in 2018. Flames destroying 1.5 football fields of rainforest every minute of every day. Smoke spreading across nearly half of Brazil, visible from space more than a week ago, even spilling into neighboring Peru, Bolivia, and Paraguay. Now the haze stretches across South America, spreading along the East Atlantic coast. Though fires are common here in Brazil's dry season, climate scientists say this is far from the norm. Instead, environmentalists point to land raised at unprecedented levels as a new government encourages industry to develop the Amazon region. Brazil's right-wing president has brushed off environmental concerns as he vows to open the rainforest to business interests. Since he took office in January, rates of deforestation have soared, as Jair Bolsonaro remains indignant to international criticism. Take your money and reforest Germany. Bolsonaro bristled at Germany and Norway's decision to suspend funding to Brazil. Now, as attention turns to wildfires surging at unprecedented rates, Bolsonaro is deflecting blame. Without evidence, he points to non-governmental organizations.
Regarding the fires in the Amazon, I am under the impression that it could have been set by the NGOs because they had asked for money. What was their intention? To bring about problems for Brazil?
Home to hundreds of indigenous tribes, the Amazon rainforest is rich in wildlife and natural resources. Often called the lungs of the earth, the rainforest supplies 20% of the world's oxygen. If it burns to a point of no return, environmentalists warn it could turn into a dry savanna and begin emitting carbon instead, plunging the planet ever deeper into a climate change crisis.
And well, that might not be imminent, Robin. But the fact that we're seeing this really flippant response from Bolsonaro and his administration, who claim that NGOs are often fronts for foreign governments trying to take control of the Amazon, there's a very real question about whether or not they're addressing the cause of these fires and, of course, the long-term impact, Robin.
Yeah, and this is not a domestic issue. I mean, this impacts the globe, all of us. It's about 20% of the planet's oxygen. So we all have a stake in what is happening there on the ground. So my next question would be, are there any political consequences or any political pressure that can be brought to bear on this government? Does Mr. Bolsonaro feel like he can okay this for the next few years? And what will be the consequence?
I think that's a really good question, Robin, because he does not take environmentalists seriously, and he doesn't take environmental concerns seriously. What speaks big here is money, of course. And the Brazil, as part of the Mercosur trade bloc, just signed a big trade deal with the European Union, which is now concerned about what's going on in the Amazon. And we could see that actually having putting more pressure on Bolsonaro to have some more environmental friendly policies than any environmentalist could. Just to give you an idea, different leaders are saying that they should actually pull out of the deal, that certain aspects of it shouldn't be signed off on. And we saw Germany and Norway pulling $70 million out of Brazil's Amazon fund. And while that was destined for the environment, if that starts playing out in them not buying Brazilian goods, especially their farm goods, which often come from the northern Amazon region, whether it's soybeans or cattle, that could really have more of an effect than anything else, Robin.
Okay, so what you're saying, there needs to be a concerted collective global response to this. Shasta Darlington, great to have you. Good to see you, my friend, live there from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Thank you for that update. So let's go to Chad Myers now, who joins us from the World Weather Center. Hey, Chad, this, as I said, is not an act of God. It is a man-made disaster. Put it in perspective for us.
It's dry season. This is burning season, but the number of fires and the number of hotspots I will show you on a thermal imager here in a second is alarming. Now, we know there's been smoke in the air, and that's just what you see this time of year. It is the driest part of the year for them, but they have a state of emergency. Most of these fires are human-induced, not really thunderstorms because there aren't any this time of year, and the fire season goes from July through October. So we're just really in the beginning or the start of fire season itself. Some of these fires you can see from space, you can actually see the smoke, but what we're really watching are those hot spots. We call them anomalies. About 74,000 fires so far this year. That's 85% more than this time last year. Fire dating all the way back. We have a bush in front of me. I can see it here. Otherwise, Brazil here. These are the August 20th of 2019 fires. These are all the hot spots that we see across the globe right now, and this is focused on Brazil proper, even some fires down around Uruguay as well, and Paraguay. And the Amazonas already putting out in this area, already putting out more CO2, carbon dioxide, because of the burning than any year so far since we've been keeping records back to about 2003. And there's the bottom of the rainfall curve somewhere in August and September, going back up a little bit later than that. So the Amazon fires, obviously in our picture, this is what I was talking about here a little bit ago. These are the anomalies. This is what, if you take a look at the surface of the Earth and the temperature from one side, one of the pixels to the other pixel, if there's more weather, more hot, then you're going to see these little red dots. Here is August 19th, 2019. So just a couple of days ago. I'm going to take you to 2018. Less fires. 2017. Still fires, not as many, and not as concentrated, more widespread. 2015, 2014. We can go back and back as long as you want. Now, there were still fires in 14, but look at what it was in 2013. The number of dots is significantly more than it has been for a very long time. We know that's what's happening on the ground there.
The Amazon rainforest is known to be a home to millions of different species, from plants to animals to even some indigenous tribes. It's been referred to as the Earth's lungs because it produces 20% of the oxygen in its atmosphere. About half the size of the United States of America, the Amazon rainforest has a huge impact on slowing down global warming and the world as a whole. But recently, wildfires have gotten so out of control, cities have been completely blacked out, with smoke from the fires covering their skies. It seems as of now, the Brazilian government and President Bolsonaro isn't stepping in to slow down the fires, and up until quite recently, recently, news stations weren't covering the story either. In hopes of raising awareness about how important the Amazon rainforest really is, we decided to answer the question, what if the Amazon rainforest burned down? Hello friends, and welcome back to another video here on Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that looks to answer all those puzzling questions you may have. I'm your host, Jared Bronstein. As always, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of our videos, and drop us a comment below with a question you want an answer to. I'll be responding to some comments at the end of this video as well, but for now, let's talk about the Amazon rainforest and its importance to us all. As previously mentioned, the Amazon rainforest is a home to millions of different species, ranging from plants to small insects and bugs to much larger animals and some humans. Of course, if the rainforest burned down, all of these species would lose their permanent home. But that's just a small part of what would potentially happen. According to the World Wildlife Fund, also known as the WWF, if the Amazon reaches a point of no return, it could become so dried out that instead of generating oxygen, it could start emitting carbon, which would expedite the process of climate change, something we've been trying to slow down for years. But the Amazon rainforest is also known for bringing rain to surrounding regions, and according to a report from 2012 from the website scientificamerican.com, I quote, "Deforestation in the Amazon could sharply reduce rainfall in non-forested parts of southern Brazil, a rich agricultural area, as well as Paraguay and Uruguay." End quote. The lack of rain could also lead to a drought, which would mean less drinking water, and it would make it much harder for farmers to harvest crops. Now the irony here is that the same farmers are known for intentionally burning their fields to clear space for crops when the time comes. The reality though is that many people don't seem to care much about things happening on the other side of the world. If it doesn't affect them directly, they'll send out a tweet praying for those affected, and we'll kind of just stop there. But what if the Amazon rainforest could possibly hold a cure for cancer? Something that affects millions and millions of people worldwide, and is statistically proven to affect approximately 1 in 3 men in the United States during their lifetime. As crazy as it may sound, some people believe a possible cure is hiding somewhere in there. It's believed close to 90% of human illness and disease are treated with prescription that comes from natural sources, and 25% of all drugs are derived from rainforest plants, according to SouthAmericanVacations.com. This includes things such as molds, snake venom, and various different flowers and plants. What's even more interesting is that less than 5% of the plants in the Amazon have been studied for the potential medicinal effects they could have. But if we were to lose the Amazon rainforest, we'd never know for sure what other diseases we could have possibly treated. Now, as scary as these scenarios are, they may become a reality if we don't do something to stop the Amazon rainforest from burning down. Although wildfires are known to be quite normal, the climate of the Amazon usually stops them from spreading too much. Recently, however, that hasn't been the case, and the Amazon rainforest has been burning for about 3 weeks. According to Brazil's National Institute for Space Research, more than an entire soccer field and a half of Amazon rainforest is being burned every minute of every day, or over 2 acres of land. Every minute, every day is now burning down. This is clearly an issue that needs to be dealt with sooner than later, and it seems as of now, the Brazilian government isn't going to do much to slow down the process. If you'd like to do something to help the cause, I'd say educate people. Tell your friends, family, and even share all the facts on social media. The more people that know about what's going on, the more of a chance we have to effectively do something that could help our planet. For whatever reason, not many news outlets have been covering this story up until quite recently. As previously mentioned, these fires have been burning for about 3 weeks, and up until just a few days ago, not many outlets have covered the story. Even now, although the likes of CNN and BBC have covered it, there hasn't been any coverage on the likes of Fox News and the Wall Street Journal, some of the United States' biggest news outlets. But if enough people do start talking about this, eventually they'll be forced to start raising awareness as well. As always, we love hearing from you guys, so please drop us some comments down below with your thoughts on this entire situation. How long do you think it'll be before